Hello and welcome to the stream, Mac Video Magic. We are here, we are running, and today we are running on Ecamm Live, the beta, the latest beta of Ecamm Live. 4.4 beta 3, I think. Probably not the best idea to run mission critical shows on a beta, but this is not mission critical. We're just here, we're talking about content creation, YouTube, and using the apps that come packaged with a Mac to create videos. So that's what my channel is all about, right? I show you how to make videos with iMovie, with Keynote, with QuickTime Player, some other stuff like OBS as well, kind of thrown in there, which I'm actually starting to love more and more. But the whole point is that you can make YouTube quality videos, whatever that means, exactly, with these tools. And that's what we're going to talk about in this stream, the possibilities. And so I'm going to take you through 10 different types, 10, can you believe it? 10 different types of YouTube videos that you can create using iMovie, Keynote, QuickTime Player, and a little bit of OBS thrown in. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this stream. So just saying hello to some folks here who are on the stream. I can see there's 11 folks watching. Make sure you give this a thumbs up if you're, enjoying so far, even though I haven't talked about anything. If you're enjoying the stream so far. Yeah, so 10 different types of videos, YouTube videos that you can make. And we're going to go through those 10. And I think what I'm going to do first, though, is just give you some context as to kind of why I decided to do this stream. because I get a lot of questions from people asking, can I make this kind of video? Can I do this kind of video? Can I make this in iMovie? Can I make this in Keynote? Can I even make YouTube videos using iMovie, Keynote, QuickTime Player? And the answer is yes. I believe that the majority of YouTube videos you see online or on YouTube you can make them with those tools. They're not, a lot of YouTube videos aren't terribly complex from an editing point of view. It's fairly standard kind of editing. You know, you have a talking head, you have some visuals, maybe you have a title, maybe there's an animation, but it's very, you know, maybe some music, very standard stuff, all very easily done with something like iMovie. And when you add in something like Keynote, you now have a real powerhouse duo, because with Keynote, you can create all kinds of animations, graphics. You can make videos in Keynote. You don't even need iMovie. You can make it all in, well, not all of it, but you can make a lot in Keynote as well. And we're going to talk about that as well. And then there's QuickTime Player, which is kind of like a Swiss Army knife media tool. Does a lot of different things, but for me, it's kind of fallen a little bit by the wayside. And I do a lot of stuff that I used to do in QuickTime Player, I now do in OBS Studio for Mac, which is free open source. So that's just give you some context for what's happening. Let's go to the chat and see. I'm getting familiar again. I haven't used Ecamm Live in a while, in months. So I'm kind of trying to get back familiar with how it all works here. So we'll see. There we go. Successfully brought up a comment. Deb Hallett, hi there. Looking forward to learning something as usual. Well, hopefully you learn something. Hey, all the way from the UK. Stephen Cheese Garden Services, pardon me. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for being here. Yes, very nice. Very nice. So I'm just going to see first. I've got my my stuff all set up here. And I'm going to go over to this scene here. And this is the first type of video that you can make, YouTube video that you can make using iMovie, Keynote, QuickTime Player. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. This is probably 80% of the videos on YouTube are talking head videos. Basically, it's your camera video, you talking, and you basically cut out all the mistakes and all the pauses, and you have jump cuts, which today is perfectly fine. Back in my day, that was a no-no, but today is different. Today is different. So you have that, and then you may layer in some visuals or cutaways, as we call them, or B-roll, as it's also referred to as, in order to illustrate or to emphasize the point that you're making. So talking head videos, pretty simple in using iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player. And I have an example, and I've got some examples to show, and remarkably, these are all things that I've made for this channel and other projects. So let me just switch over to my screen here. And here we are. And so we're on YouTube. And so this video here, I'll just play a bit of it because you probably saw this. It's my channel trailer made using iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player for the Mac. Any great video starts with a high-quality recording, and you can do that quickly and easily using QuickTime Player. You can record your webcam, your mirrorless camera through an HDMI capture card, or even the camera on your iPhone, all in high-quality ProRes, a video format used extensively in professional editing. And speaking of editing, so this is an example of a talking head video. It's me talking, and these are the cutaways or the B-roll that is, I'm using to illustrate the points I'm making. Shake effect? Well, iMovie's got you covered. You can even throw in an over-the-shoulder graphic, green screen, some color correction, a few transitions, or a video effect or two if you're so inclined. You can even do some vertical video editing in iMovie. No, iMovie is not Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve. iMovie does lack certain pro-level features like a flexible titling tool, and its animation system is very, very basic. So that is an example of a talking head video. It's me talking, edited together with visuals to support what I'm talking about. And I made that entire video, as I say here at the end. I have a little behind the scenes part of this video that I'll just show. That where I explain that I made it all with a few outside exceptions. Have a look at my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you're wondering, yes, this video was created using iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player on the Mac. And I'll show you right here. Here is the timeline, all the different edits. You can see there's also the music down here, and there's sound effects right here. And these animations were created using Keynote. Here is the Keynote file with all the different animation slides. So there you go. There you go. Talking head videos, pretty easy to handle with iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player. In fact, Keynote, you don't even really need Keynote. You can do it all with iMovie. But that's just an example. I just wanted to show as part of my channel trailer, you know, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk. And so I wanted to show how I created so much there of that entire trailer using iMovie and Keynote and QuickTime Player. So I used Keynote for the animations. I used iMovie for the editing and the mixing, audio mixing, and QuickTime Player to record some screen demos and screen examples. So that is what you can do. That's talking head videos. That's the first type of video you can create. I don't know what happened there. That was a weird transition. Anyway, let's go to the chat and see what's happening here. Steven, thumbs up from me. You got me back into researching for my videos and learning new stuff. I am still a bit new to video editing. I am good at gardening. Well, you know what? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. They're not interested in being video professionals, but they want to use video to promote or market what they're really good at, like gardening or appliance repair or crafts or fashion or what have you, right? But they want to use the vehicle of video to be able to communicate, build an audience, build a community, and, you know, market their stuff as well. So, you know, you don't have to be a video expert to make effective video for what you want to do. You just have to have a goal, have a goal, have a vision, and then figure out how to execute that vision using video. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, and I tell people because I work with clients, you need a lot less than you think you do to make good videos or effective videos for your whatever it is you're trying to do, for your business or what have you, for your classroom. You really, what's most important is concentrating on the message. That's what you really need to work on. All right, I'm arranging my screens here so I can see better, see everybody better. Love the information. You the man. Thanks you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Ask a Bible prof. Open Air Outdoors. Hello again. Happy to be able to catch it live. Thanks for being here. This was kind of a last minute one. I actually wasn't going to go live today. I was going to spend a lazy Friday afternoon editing. Editing a piece I'm working on for the channel. But I thought, you know what? I want to keep the streak going. So I decided to go live. And of course, when you go live, I could have just done a Q&A and that would have been fine. But I like to bring something to you, some kind of value in terms of information. So today we're talking about 10 different types of YouTube videos you can make using iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player. which is good enough? Mac Studio at $19.99 or the $3,900? Do you really need the more expensive equipment? The Mac Studio. Well, here's the thing. Depends on what you're trying to do. I have a Mac Studio, and the reason I got a Mac Studio, and this is like an older Mac Studio, the new Mac Mini M4 runs circles around this. But the reason I got the Mac Studio was for all the ports, all the USB ports, USB-C ports, and so on, and having the card slot, the SD slot on the front, able to connect all my drives and all the things that I connect to my Mac. So that's a question you have to ask yourself. Do you need the connectivity? If you don't, in terms of power, I mean, I still have my original OG M1 Mac Mini that I still use for editing and stuff, and it's fine. It works fine. The only issue I had with it was it just weren't enough ports, so I ended up getting a CalDigit Thunderbolt 3 hub to extend it so I can get more ports to plug things in. That was just, it's a bit of a pain as an additional expense. But the power itself is fine for what I do. I use the M1 for, I use it for editing, live streaming. Works fine. So that's a question you have to ask yourself, the ports. Any computer you buy, obviously, the sort of the general advice is get as much computer as you can afford to kind of future-proof yourself. But the Macs these days, this new generation of Macs, the Silicon Macs, power to spare. And like I said, this M1 Mac Mini is it's still going just fine. Just fine. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Let's see, who's next? Deb, same here. Pretty new to video editing, but good at card making. I'm getting better with your help, Mike. Good. Yeah. We're going to talk about card making and those types of videos as it's on my list. We'll be talking about those. Open air outdoors. I was supposed to do a video today, but I'll hang out here instead. Oh, don't let me keep you from making a video. Don't let me be the reason for your procrastination. Whatever. I'm glad you're hanging out. Maybe you'll get some inspiration. Hopefully you'll be inspired after this to make your video. To make your video. Erica Meyer. Hi, Mike. When I first watched your circular face cam video, it seemed like a lot of steps. Any shortcuts to create the circle frame? Yes, it is. I debated you putting that video out because I knew it was a lot of steps. And I thought, this is a lot of steps. Maybe too many steps for people. But I thought, I'll just put it out there. Because once you create it in iMovie, you can reuse it. And I thought, okay, then that's not so bad. Is there an easier way in iMovie? Not really. There's some other ways I'm working on experimenting with that I've been putting together. But again, I always try to test these things out. And I want to make sure that they're simple enough and that they're reliable enough for me to make a video and to share with you, because I don't want to put you in a bad spot showing you something that doesn't work. So right now, that is sort of the best way at this moment. But like I said, once you create it, you can reuse it, copy and paste it into other projects. So do we need a mirrorless camera for talking head video? No, you do not. You do not. You can use your phone. If you have a relatively modern smartphone, you can use your phone. You can use a webcam. You don't need a mirrorless camera to do that. Actually, my first videos way back when were on my webcam. So I think I had a Logitech, two Logitechs, the C920, and I also used the Brio for a long time. Brio is great. It's 4K. But you can use your phone now. And if you have an iPhone, relatively modern, you're using modern OS, and you have a Mac with, I can't remember what Mac OS off the top of my head you need. I can't remember. I think it's Sonoma, I can't remember. Anyway, you can do something called continuity camera, where you can connect your Mac wirelessly. Sorry, connect your iPhone wirelessly to your Mac and use it like a webcam. So you get the high quality of the iPhone wirelessly connected to your Mac, and you can record stuff, and it's really great quality. So no, you don't need that. Hey, the Dusty Dutchman, super chat. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hopefully you're starting a trend in this stream. Thanks a lot. Love the live streams, but also thank you for the years of great information we all have gained from you. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad I have presented you with value here. I do my best. Steven's talking to Deb. See, I'm getting in on people's conversations now. Deb, same here. I use Mike's channel a lot when I get stuck. I feel like I should watch all the videos before I make another video. Same with the circle face. I'm lazy. Point and shoot guy. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But that little bit of effort up front, and then you can reuse it, right? And that's the great thing about it. A lot of these things, you can template it, right? You can create it once, and sure, it takes a bit of pain to create it, but then you can reuse it later, and you can modify it and all that kind of stuff. Copy paste. Copy paste. Oh, sorry, I was already there. What do you do full time? Just asking. What do I do full time? I do video full time. I do this on YouTube. I also have a production company that I've had for, 30 years, since the early 90s, that I do freelance work, clients, corporate videos, documentaries, that kind of thing. I also do occasional, I used to do more WordPress development, making websites, but that's kind of fallen off since I've sort of concentrated on the video stuff. Yeah, so I do all that kind of stuff. I'm a freelance video creator, have been for years. All right, let's go to the next one, the next type of video. Make sure I've got it set up here. Got a lot of moving parts today. A lot of moving parts. All right, we did talking head video. The second type, screen tutorials. Oh, of course, you watch this channel, you know screen tutorials. That's kind of pretty much all I do around here. And so you can create screen tutorials using QuickTime Player and iMovie. I show on my channel how to record your screen and your microphone. And you can do that easily using QuickTime Player. And then you can bring that into iMovie and edit it. I also have a video on my channel where I show you how to include your face cam or a face shot in your recording. However, let me just say this. Of late, I don't use QuickTime Player for screen tutorials a lot unless audio isn't an issue. Because as you probably know, with QuickTime Player, it doesn't record the Mac's audio. You have to use a third-party plugin, and I've got like 5 videos on my channel on recording internal audio on the Mac. Still doesn't do it. And I think the reason Apple doesn't include that in the Macs natively, even though Windows does, I think it has to do with a DRM copyright thing. I guess they don't want people ripping movies and things like that. At least they can have plausible deniability if it's not built into the OS. Meanwhile, though, they've given the API, the screen kit that they use. Basically, it's an API to allow third-party people to record the Mac screen and audio. That API they've given to other people, like the application that I recommend for doing any kind of screen-based tutorials that involve computer sound, or if you're doing things like reaction videos. And that application is OBS Studio for Mac. And I did a video, because I do lots of videos, on using it for screen recording with audio. So it's now easy in OBS. It wasn't easy before, but now it is, because of Apple giving OBS project, the API, Screen Kit to be able to record. So now in OBS, you're able to set up a screen recording and the audio automatically goes with it. And I have a video, best free screen recorder for Mac, and I go through in the video how to set it all up, you know, how to do your sources, everything, set the canvas up, all the stuff. So you can check out that video. I'm not going to play it here, but I just wanted to show you that the video. And I set everything up. I set up the screen, I add the camera source, and we set up the recording settings as well. And you can see right here, it says macOS screen capture. That automatically comes up in OBS when you create a screen recording. So no more having to wire black hole or something else, you know, to capture the Mac internal audio. It's just too much. You don't really need to do it with OBS. And in fact, I do a lot more recording now with OBS than I do with QuickTime Player because of that and because of just the control that it provides in terms of recording. But, you know, I do have, you know, the video that shows you how to capture. If you just want to use QuickTime Player to record your screen, I have a video that shows you how to do it, several videos, and capture the sound using third-party tools. This one in particular here is my latest one, and that's using an application called VB Cable to do it. But, you know, it requires going into audio MIDI setup and doing all kinds of stuff. And, you know, it's there. You've got options, I guess is what I'm saying. You've got options. But I do prefer OBS. So screen tutorials, you have options the way you want to do that. Same kind of thing, OBS for reaction videos, very easy. And because one of the issues with QuickTime Player is when it comes to long recordings. This is one of the reasons why I like, let me go back to OBS. I like OBS Studio because it's very good with long recordings. You've got game streamers out there recording 3, 4, 5-hour videos in OBS, live streaming and recording simultaneously. Not a hiccup, no problem. OBS is great for that. So you can control it. You can set the quality you want. That's what I like about it, is the control. It's the control. So that's why I'm a big fan of it now, and you'll probably see more tutorials on my channel around OBS. I know people think it's intimidating, but it actually is not that intimidating. Actually, I have to say now, I'm using Ecamm Live right now to stream, and it's great. I love Ecamm, but in some ways, it's more complex than OBS. I find the OBS interface far easier to manage and understand. But screen tutorials, that is another type of video that you can make just with iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player. So there you go. Let's go back to the chat. Ask a Bible Prof. What camera gear do you like with your production company? I like using camcorders. I actually don't use, I mean, I have a mirrorless DSLR right here that's here recording and streaming. I like them for fixed applications like this. Like this is like a studio camera. It doesn't move. It's just going to stay there stationary. It's, you know, good quality. I can plug in capture cards. I can plug in microphones. It's like a studio camera. But when I'm out in the field recording, I prefer a camcorder for a number of reasons. One is just the usability. It's made for recording video. So the access of the buttons and the controls is just easier, makes more sense to me. As well as the zoom lens. If you're doing any kind of documentary work where you have to capture action from a distance, the zoom lens is just, it's just so much easier and quick. So I use camcorders I have a 4K camcorder that I use. It's actually just a Sony camcorder. It's got mic input, headphone out, shoots 4K. has manual controls, everything I need. It's more than enough, and I shoot lots of stuff with it now. So that's what I use. And a tripod, obviously. That's kind of important. And my camcorder has, it's a Sony, so it has the steady shot in it. So I don't really need to use a gimbal that much. A gimbal kind of makes a smooth movement when you're moving the camera. I don't really need one of those. I've never had a reason to do it. I've maybe once in a while used like a slider to get a kind of like a dolly shot. That's about it. A little late to the party. Hello, everyone. Hello, Square and Level. Welcome to the party. Late, but worth it. Late, but worth it. I would love to see more on OBS, for sure. For sure. There's so much you can do with it. And you don't have to live stream. That's the thing. People think, oh, OBS is for game streaming. That's all you use it for. No, it's just a video creation tool. You can record, you can stream if you want to, but I do a lot of live to tape or live to drive production using OBS because it's kind of fun to be able to set up all your elements ahead of time and then kind of edit on the fly. It's a very efficient way to create video. You can make a lot of video fast that way, and OBS is perfect for that. I'm also learning the Mac environment. In another video, you mentioned creating libraries for organizing. Yes. Can you please give more insight on organizing? Yes. Well, in the video, I mentioned about organizing and creating libraries. And it's kind of the way Apple, the terminology gets confusing. If you saw my video last week about Final Cut Pro and how, Apple doesn't call audio channels, it calls it components. It's the same thing with libraries and events and projects. I think they just do that to be different sometimes, and it's confusing. But how I think about it in iMovie is a library is basically, it keeps everything together. A library in other video applications would be a project, right? A project file has everything in it. So in iMovie, the library is like a project file, and it contains all your media, it contains the database, all the information, the render files, all the stuff that iMovie needs to make your video is contained in the library. So if you think of it as being a project, it makes more sense. So for me, I create a new library for every project that I do. So I think of it as a project file. It helps me stay organized. And the other thing is, I don't end up with a giant library. And that was the whole point of that video. If you've been using iMovie and you're just kind of using the default iMovie library in your movies folder, and you've been using that for years, and then you're wondering, why is iMovie going so slow? Go check out how big that library is. And I guarantee it's huge. And the problem is when the library in iMovie starts getting very large, there's a database in there trying to track everything. So when you're editing and making edits, it's trying to make sure the right clips are at the right spot. And as you get more material in there, it gets tougher to find the stuff, and it lags. So in order to deal with that, I create a separate library for each project. Okay. So you have the library. Now inside the library, you have events. Events are basically folders. That's how I think of them. Or bins if you're coming from another video editing application like Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. I think of them as bins. They're folders. So you can have a folder for different things. You could put everything in one folder, which you could, but it's not very organized that way. Or what I do is I create separate folders for each type of media or element. So I have a video, I have an event or folder for video, an event or folder for audio, an event or folder for any kind of graphics or animations, and in the event for audio, I'll create, I'll usually keep the music and the effects together. But if it starts getting a lot of music clips, I'll create an event or folder for music and an event or folder for sound effects and so on. So that's how you would organize things. And that's how I organize it. So think of events as folders. Now, here's the thing. You don't need to use events. You can actually just import video or clips, and it'll automatically be tied to the project. So let's talk about projects. So iMovie calls them projects. I call them timelines because that's what they are to me. So a project is a timeline. So it's the timeline that you edit on. So we have the library is the project. The event is the folder where we store things and keep things organized. And the project is the actual timeline where we edit. And that's how you can think of it to make it more sense, to make more sense of it. And so what's really cool about iMovie and Final Cut Pro is you can have more than one library open at a time. So you can have more than one project open at a time, which is very cool, which means you can swap and change and copy and paste material from one project library to another one. Very handy. Can't really do that in other applications, video editing applications. So anyway, I hope that made that clear. Hopefully it made it clear, Erica. That is kind of how I think of it. Thanks. Lunch is over. Gotta run. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Back to work. Back to work. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. What make and model of camera are you using? This is kind of an old camera that I'm using right now. It's a Sony Alpha 6100. So when did that come out? 2018? 17, 18? So it's at least 5 years old. It's fine. It's more than enough. It's more than enough. It does 4K. I don't do 4K a lot. 4K, I do 1080p. Yeah, it's good. It's got the HDMI out, clean HDMI out for attaching a capture card. I use a Elgato Camlink 4K capture card. And yeah, it's got a microphone in, which I need. I like that. I like being able to plug a microphone into the camera. And those are kind of the main features. Otherwise, it's more than enough. More than enough. Agreed. Thank you for your videos. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Steven, still new to OBS, did all what you said. Great videos, great advice. Need to get Wi-Fi in the shed office. I might get it for free if I make a video on it. Oh, there you go. The bridge that is. Tried hotspot. Yeah. Oh, so you're trying to do a live stream from outdoors there? That's cool. That's fun. Hey, Amir. Amir, I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Full disclosure, Amir put me on to the app preview feature in iMovie to create vertical videos. So I give Amir that credit. I'll give him credit. Thanks for being here. What do you think of StreamYard? Better than OBS? Well, StreamYard gives you convenience. You don't have to worry about stuff. You don't have to worry about settings. You don't have to worry about bringing in guests, how you're going to do it. It does a lot for you. However, a couple things for me, I'm not a fan. I know recently, well, in the last year or a few months, they really raised the price of it for a lot of the features. And second, I'm just not a fan of sharing a server, my stream sharing a server with, other streams. Like I know I'm streaming right now from my Mac and I'm going to YouTube and it's sharing streams there. That's fine. But I know I'm good quality coming out of my machine. And so that's all I can do. So that's fine. But I'm just not a fan. And I've just noticed the quality sometimes with StreamYard just isn't the best. So am I getting jumpy? I wonder if the Camlink is gonna I've been having issues with Camlink on the eCam, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, so OBS is it's kind of roll your own. It's you have to create things. There's lots of great plugins and some that I use, but things like bringing in guests, that's a plugin you have to sort of get your head around and use. And there's free ones that you can do it with. So yeah, but what I like about OBS is the control. I can create exactly what I want. It takes some work, but like I said, once you create it, you can set it up as a profile and a scene collection, and it's done. Then that's what I do for my shows. I have a show for my Mac Video Magic Live. It's all set. It's like a template. I just switch a button, poof, it's there. I don't have to redo things. So everything that I do ahead of time is done. And that's the thing with a lot of the stuff that I do, iMovie, Keynote, it's like the face cam circle thing. Yeah, it's a bit of work off the top, but once you've done it, it's set, it's done, right? You can just reuse it. And it's the same kind of thing with OBS. I think OBS, also, if you're going to do like any kind of high motion screen recording or streaming, I think OBS is probably stronger at that than StreamYard. I mean, I haven't tried game streaming on StreamYard. I have tried game streaming with OBS, and it's no problem. How to organize in the library? I think I mentioned that, right? You just all you can do in a library is create folders or events and make a folder and event for each type of media. And that's it. And then you have your timelines, your projects, and just make sure you label them so you know what they're for. And that's all you really need to do in terms of organization. It's not that tricky in iMovie once you understand how it works. Steven, hotspot on my mobile to my laptop. OBS melted my MacBook Pro. Rendering I could drop faster. Might need faster internet. Are you running, is your OBS, is your MacBook Pro a Silicon MacBook Pro? Or is it an Intel MacBook Pro? Be curious to know. Be curious to know. Erica, thank you. You're welcome, Erica. Sorry, the camcorder, I use them as well. Yes. It's good enough. It's good enough. Trying to run before I have learned to walk. OBS all works fine. Yeah, but you know what? It's okay to try and run. You may fall on your face, but you'll get up and you'll be able to run. Sometimes you just got to jump, right? You just got to go and see how it works. It's not going to, I tell people, if you make a mistake with something, a piece of gear, software, it's not going to reach out of the screen and slap you or something, right? That's not going to happen, right? You just try and try again and see what works. Is there lens corrections for action cameras in iMovie? No, iMovie doesn't have lens corrections. It's a fairly basic tool. Like iMovie assumes the way it's built that the footage you're going to bring in there is good. It has tools to correct things like shaky video. It has color correction. It has some audio tools, but not at the quality of something like Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve. That's why I think I mentioned last week when I was talking about Final Cut Pro that sometimes I'll use that when I have to fix stuff. A lot of times if I have to fix things that are, bad shot, shaky, bad color, bad audio, because it has the tools to do that. With iMovie, you want to bring in as good a quality as you want, and then it's great. And then it's great. You're welcome, Amir. 2 gigahertz. Oh, okay, it's Intel. Well, there's your problem right there, Stephen. OBS on Intel is crap. I'll just say it. It's crap. And OBS on a Mac was garbage up until the silicon chips came out. And that was a game changer. Totally. It was like night and day. Night and day. So my Mac Studio it's an M1 Mac Studio from a few years ago. And even on my Mac, my M1 Mac from 2020, running OBS, no problem. It's smooth like butter. Hardly using any CPU on the computer. It's incredible. It's like I'm looking at it and it's like 3%. 3%. When on Intel, it was like chugging 70, 75. Fans are going. It's getting hot in here. So it's the Intel chip. That's the issue there. So maybe it's time for an upgrade, Stephen. Maybe. Lots of good Macs out there. Powerful. That M4 Mac Mini. Whew. Crazy. Thanks. I make all my vids on iMovie thanks to you. Excellent. Yeah. Sure. Why not? Listen, I know people, excuse me, they're like, oh, I don't want to tell people I make it on iMovie because, you know, that's not a professional application and people are going to think I'm, you know, small time. And it's like, no one cares. It's at the end of the day, it's the product. Did you finish it? And, you know, the quality of the product. And however you got there, few people care. They just want to get the value from what you're sharing. All right. Speaking of value, let's get back to my list. Like that segue? It's very good. All right. Back to my list here. So we did screen tutorials. The third type, presentation videos. Okay, so these are videos where you're taking like a slide presentation and you're turning it into a video, which is a great way to create YouTube content. If you have a bunch of slide decks sitting around, presentations that you've given in person, you can turn them into videos and post them on YouTube. Real simple. And there's different ways. There's so many different ways you can do this. You could use iMovie. You could bring your slides in as graphics into iMovie and put transitions between them, and just do a voiceover with that. If you want to show your face, you could record, you know, you could record on your camera and bring that in and edit. And actually, I did a video where I showed you how to record a Keynote presentation plus your camera using QuickTime Player. So you had the QuickTime Player doing the screen recording of your presentation, and then you had the QuickTime Player actually capturing your face cam, your webcam in that case. And then you can marry it there, or you can record them separately and bring them into iMovie and edit them together. And I did a video. You can check it out on my channel. So there's different ways, but I think for presentation videos, there's no better application than Keynote. Apple Keynote, because now you can do video and you can put your face in it now, which is kind of cool. You can put your face in the video. And let me just see where we're at. Oh, that's circular face cam. Why did I bring that one up? Okay, that was talking about the face cam shot. Record screen. Here we go. Let me go over to my screen here. Screen pip. Okay, so this is a video where I show you how you can actually add live videos. And there's my face down there. And I'm like back and select talking. The third slide. Right click. Look at that. And even have multiple multi-camera. And select paste. That's again, pretty cool. Also use the keyboard shortcut command. So I got multicam right there. There's the circle frame video from the. So there is the video of me. This is all done in Keynote, by the way. You can see it. Keynote. It's kind of crazy. So I've got my camera shot here in Keynote using Keynote's live video feature. And you can have more than one camera. So I have an overhead shot from my webcam. So folks who are doing craft videos, this is kind of a setup you might be looking at. So I'm recording simultaneously these two. And then I end up with a video at the end of it out of Keynote. That's like the advanced use of Keynote for video. But you can make it simple. You can just have slides here and just have your face now. So it's using the live video feature. Just scroll over here and you can see sort of the interface for live video. This is a game changer feature they added. It's crazy. It makes Keynote such an incredibly powerful video creation tool. Never mind presentations, but video creation. It's pretty remarkable. And you can bring in your iPad. Here's a slideshow example. So I'm recording a slideshow. This is just showing you how to record it. So I got my slides and my face, and this is what's coming in the next slide. So I'm switching here between slides of like traditional sort of presentation slides. My face is on top, and then I'm switching to camera angles from slides. It's kind of like OBS in a way. They put OBS in Keynote. But you can make presentation videos quite easily using Keynote. You can do it live, meaning you can show your slide, and I have videos, you can check my channel, where you're recording live, you're talking to your slides and you're recording it. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can actually record your video ahead of time and bring it into Keynote and use the play across slides feature to play your video and then just advance your slides when you need to. Or you can have separate videos or video clips for each slide and just embed it in the slide. So there's so many different ways to make presentation videos using Keynote. And you can also bring your Keynote videos into iMovie to say add some transitions or do some other things that you want to do. Color correction or stuff like that. So I get very excited when I talk about Keynote, as you can tell. I get very excited. So presentation videos, another quick way to make YouTube videos. Great way to reuse content that you have sitting around and turn it into a video. And just the fact that you're turning it into a video, even if it's a slide deck and you're like, well, that's kind of boring, it's just a slide deck. But the fact that you're making it a video adds tremendous value to it. Just for people, right? It's perceived value. So it could be the same slideshow you've done a million times, you've done it live, but because it's a video, somehow it just has more value in terms of perception. So presentation videos is another one. All right, let's go to the chat. Hope that made sense. So far, I hope everything's making sense, hopefully. I'm kind of showing you all these different things and moving around, but a lot of stuff's on my channel, so you can just check it out. A lot of it's on the channel. Keeping up with the chat here. Brian, I have a video shot of a tour I'm doing. What is the easiest way to have the audio part added and go with the video? Have the audio part added to go. Oh, you mean to add? You need to explain that a little bit for me. Are you trying to add like a voiceover to the video? Or are you trying to add a separate audio track to the video? Like music or something like that? Just give me a little more detail, Brian, so I can help you out. Because there's different ways you can do that in iMovie for sure. Because in iMovie, you can separate the audio track from the video track and edit it. You can add music, you can add sound effects, you can add a voiceover. You can record a voiceover right in iMovie. Again, I have a video on that. But there's different ways to add audio to your video in iMovie. All kinds of different ways. All right, let's go to the next one. I'm going to go to the next. So we did presentation videos. All right. Reaction videos is kind of the same as screen tutorials in a way. And I think for that, you can do that with QuickTime Player. But my issue, here's the issue with that. And this is my issue with QuickTime Player in general. Why I suggest OBS, doing that kind of stuff in OBS. QuickTime Player has an issue when you start recording long videos. It starts, if you've noticed, if you've done a QuickTime Player recording with your, the screen and your face and your voice, you'll notice after a certain time, the sync starts to drift. Like your voice starts going out of sync with your face. And that happens over a long period, like in longer recordings. And the reason that's happening is, just go back to me. The reason that's happening is the way that QuickTime Player records screens. It uses what's called variable frame rate recording. So what it does, because it wants to maintain the quality of the screen recording. So if you have a lot of motion in the screen recording, a lot of colors, a lot of stuff going on, it wants to preserve the quality. But your Mac may not be able to keep up with, recording a 4K screen in all its beauty. So QuickTime Player, what it does, it starts to mess with the frame rate of the recording and adjust it in order to maintain the quality. And a lot of times it'll slow it down a little bit. Not a big deal in short recordings, but as you get longer and longer, those extra frames start adding up and things start drifting out of sync. There are ways to fix it. I have a video coming up of how to fix out of sync audio in iMovie, but that's one of the issues I have with QuickTime Player. It uses the variable, and you can't change that. It uses the variable frame rate recording. In OBS, you can set it to do constant frame rate recording, so it doesn't do that. It may or may not, depending on the power of your Mac, sacrifice the quality a little bit, but it will maintain the frame rate, so you won't get those sync issues, particularly when we're talking about 2, 3, 4 hour recordings. And typically when you're doing something like a reaction video, depending on how long it is, it could be an hour. I don't know, depends on what you're reacting to. You could start getting these sync issues. And so that's why I prefer OBS for doing long types of sort of multi-channel recordings. Like I said, possible in QuickTime Player, but you're just going to have to be aware of that sync issue. So that is the point I'm saying about reaction videos. You can make them with QuickTime Player and even iMovie, and you can use your phone to record your face and use QuickTime Player to record just your screen. And then you can edit those together, bring them into iMovie, you sync them up, do a little clap when you start, 3 claps, so you can sync up the audio with your video, your face at the beginning, bring that into iMovie, and you can edit that together. And like I said, you just may have to be fixing the audio sync periodically, but it's all doable, very much doable. And I get a lot of game streamers asking about doing stuff in QuickTime Player, Roblox players. I guess creators my younger daughter's age trying to make Roblox videos. And so, yeah, it's possible with QuickTime Player and bringing it into iMovie to edit. So there you go. All right, let's go to the next one because chat is ruminating. is ruminating. Vertical short form video. It's a love-hate thing. There's a lot of people who are really interested in creating vertical short form video using iMovie. I know because my video on how to do it has got some 300,000 views. So there's a lot of interest in that. And then there's people who just who despise vertical short form video, and I hear from them too. But anyway, the point is that this is all possible in iMovie. And you can actually make vertical short form video in Keynote. I have a couple of videos on how to create vertical or portrait and square video using Apple Keynote. So taking a regular landscape video and changing it into vertical using Keynote. But a lot of people want to know how to use iMovie. And let me just go over to my screen. And here's the video, how to make vertical videos in iMovie the right way. 377,000 views. So there's a lot of interest around that. But yes, you can do it. And again, thanks to Amir, if he's still here, for the tip on using App Preview to edit vertical videos. And so I have a whole tutorial on how to do it. And I show you how to, what you need to do and what important steps are to bring it in properly into iMovie so it works, because I still get comments and people saying it doesn't work. And I ask, did you do the steps? Did you do the steps properly? Because a lot of people like to, rush through tutorials, get to the stuff, and then why doesn't it work? Because they skipped over an important step. But anyway, So yes, you can do it. And you can, not only can you create vertical video, so you can bring in, say, vertical video that you've shot on your phone into iMovie and edit that together just as a vertical video project. You can actually also take landscape video and convert it into vertical and edit it. And I touch on it in this video, but I have a whole other video that talks about how to turn landscape into vertical and how to deal with issues of, things, framing and things not being in the frame when you turn it vertical. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible. And I actually did one recently on how to use your phone, how to use iMovie on your iPhone to turn vertical, but it's not the greatest way to do it because you lose a lot of resolution, but it's, it works in the pinch. But I decided to put it out there anyway. But yes, you can do vertical video, short form video using iMovie, and you can do it in Keynote. And the great thing because in iMovie you can make it, but you can't really do titling and stuff like that, subtitles and stuff. You can do all that in Keynote though. And in my video, when I show you how to create vertical video in Keynote, I show you how to add in titles and all kinds of things, because you can use the text tools in Apple Keynote. So all different ways that you can do it. So vertical is covered. Vertical is covered. Let me go over here and just show you how to. Yeah, so here's a part where I talk about converting it, right? So let me just bring this in. Let me just play this a little bit. Scrub over my landscape footage in the timeline and you can see it's been fit into my vertical project. But wait a second. It's off center. The subject of this shot, me, is out of frame. Not a problem. I'll go up to the toolbar above the preview window and you can see the crop tool is highlighted. I'll select it and you see crop to fill is selected and we have the crop to fill bounding box. I'll just click and drag it over to center my subject. Then hit the blue check mark to lock it in. And there it is. Now keep in mind, I'm just going to go back to the crop to fill. There it is. I sound so enthusiastic in that video. But anyway, vertical is covered. It's also fun to go back through these videos. It's kind of a retrospective of my different looks and sizes. But vertical short form is very doable. It's not, it's no CapCut. It's no Final Cut Pro. It's no DaVinci Resolve, okay? It doesn't have all that. It can't transcribe. It doesn't do all that stuff. But I've used it extensively to repurpose my landscape videos into shorts. I enjoy using it because I'm just familiar with iMovie and it just goes fast and it's actually fun to edit. And then I'll transcribe in another, online application, whichever, one that's available. There's what is it, Descript or it's another one. I can't remember. Anyway, there's lots of services out there where you can transcribe, and you can even transcribe right in Instagram. In Reels, you can actually bring your vertical video into Instagram Reels, have it transcribe, burn it in, and then export it, download it, and put it on wherever, YouTube Shorts, what have you. So you can get free transcribing through Instagram. I think that still works. So, vertical short form. Yes, you can make that. You can make that. All right, let's go back to the chat. You are a genius. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just, I don't know whether I'm just cheap or I'm just naturally a resourceful guy. I just try to find all these different ways to do things. And I think for me, it's just a challenge, honestly. Listen, the pro application should be able to do everything because that's what you're paying for, everything. But it's fun for me to say, hey, can I do this with the stuff that's, amateur, free, not real, not professional, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, you can. So that's kind of the challenge that I give myself, I guess. Your tutorials are impressive, have helped me so much. Great, I'm glad. I'm glad they help you. Thanks so much for all your wonderful videos. You share your knowledge so well. Thank you, Randall. I appreciate it. I try. Sometimes I don't hit the mark. Sometimes there's some duds. But I just, I strive to make things useful for you. And I really try not to sort of leave you hanging, because I know what that feels like. When you try to do something, it doesn't work and you don't know what to do, or you follow some advice and it doesn't work because someone, the person who did it left out an important step or something. I try not to do that. I want you to be able to use the information. Just discovered this tutorial genius randomly. Randomly? What's wrong with YouTube? Why are they not putting my videos out? Oh Lord, how happy I am. As an influencer that refuses to work with Windows, this tutorials for Mac are golden. What's wrong with YouTube? I'm not getting the discovery. It's always, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, by the way. People just happen to pass one of my videos. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing all the video SEO, YouTube. What's happening? Your mentoring capability and humility are just titanic. Thank you sincerely. Well, thank you very much. Well, we're all learning. I'm learning. We're all learning. I don't ever say that I know everything. I do not know everything. But what I try to do is learn as much as possible. And basically, I learn stuff and find it out, and then I share it with you because I'm so excited because I figured it out. Wow, this is cool. I got to share it with someone because, my wife and kids are tired of hearing about all my discoveries. So I'm sharing with you on the internet. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Our next thing, we're halfway through. Show and tell videos. Okay, what is this, Mike? Show and tell videos. This is kind of like, you're showing, like, for example, if you're doing appliance repair, let's say, and you're showing how to fix something, it's not going to be a screen tutorial. It's going to be recording actual live action video, right? Or B-roll, whatever you want to call it. Likewise, if you're doing crafts, right? You're showing your hands making something. Show and tell. So this focuses more, not so much on using graphics or post-production or screens. This is actually recording B-roll live action stuff and putting it together. And, kind of, you would say instructional videos is kind of a term, but this focuses on live action. And so this is pretty straightforward in iMovie, because iMovie is made for this. It's made for editing video. So doing cuts, doing, transitions and stuff. Here, I'm going to show you an example here. I realize I skipped over one thing, but I'm going to show you an example of a video I made recently for my other channel that's just kind of my playground, I guess, at this point. But I'm going to show it to you. And this is sort of an example of a show and tell type video. Reviews, gear reviews are a show and tell type video because, like you can see right here, it's a lot of live action stuff. So this particular one I did on the Rodecaster video. And so I have a bunch of stuff here. Proud owner of many of their microphones and mixers. The NTG2, the N1A, the Video Mic Me, the Video Micro, the NT-USB, the Rodecaster Pro, the Pod Mic, the Procaster, the NT-USB Mini, the Video Mic NTG, the Video Mic Go 2, the Video Mic Me L, and the Rodecaster Duo. Yeah, I might have a bit of a problem. The point is, no one makes audio production tools for content creators like Rode. They're just magic. So that is an example of show and tell, right? So that's live action stuff, different shots I did of microphones and the Rodecaster. And by the way, if you check this out, I don't have the most favorable opinion, at least right now, just as an aside, of the Rodecaster video, but that's a whole other thing. You can go watch that video and find out why that is. But I'm just showing this as an example of, live action kind of stuff. The rest is just sort of B-roll and stuff and talking head. But that for me is that section is Rode products. I'm a proud owner of many of show and tell microphones and mixers. The NTG2, right? So the N1A, the video live action, me, the Video Micro. Now this is pretty simple editing because it's just sort of a montage. It's one thing after another. You can get more complex type of show and tell editing when you actually have to show a process and the steps in live action. Then the editing gets a little more complicated. And actually, I have a video about editing in iMovie, doing more complicated editing in iMovie of things like, you know, process or instructional videos, talking about different types of edits, the different types of edits and how to do them in iMovie, and talking about things like continuity and 180-degree rule. Anyway, I don't want to give it all away. Anyway, so iMovie was built for this kind of thing because it's an editor made to edit video. And I love the tools in iMovie for editing. For example, I'll use iMovie, like I'll record some screen recordings and say something like ScreenFlow. I used to, not so much now, but I used to in ScreenFlow. And I'm not a fan of ScreenFlow's editing tools. I find them slow and they don't have a lot of the things that I like to use. So I'll bring that into iMovie and use, you know, because iMovie has JKL, it has all the, you know, you can nudge edits, you can do all kinds of, like, you can do high-end editing, like the stuff that is 90% of the kind of things you would do as an editor, you can do in iMovie quite easily. So that's why I use it a lot for editing. And so something like show and tell, live action, demonstrations, crafts, that kind of thing is real simple and powerful. And then you can add things as well, like title cards or chapter cards in iMovie, just to sort of, you know, if you have different steps, you can make a chapter or a card for each step. Real simple in iMovie. So yeah, you're covered. You're covered. Let's go. You make your tutorials personal and easy to follow. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, learning is tough enough. It's hard enough to learn stuff, right? We all had to experience having formal education when we were younger. And I know for me, that really impacted how I teach. Also, I worked in educational television for over a decade, so that kind of helps too. But the reason I got into educational television was because I wanted to make teaching or learning more interesting and more engaging and more effective and impactful. So a lot of what I do here on this channel, I learned over years and years of making educational television, particularly science educational television. That's what I did for a decade. So making science concepts and things like that accessible. Because I realized the power of that when people would stop me in the street and say, oh, you know, I didn't know anything about why the sky was blue. I had no idea. But you taught me why, and it's crazy. That's wild. Like, you know, strangers. That shows me impact, right? The impact that learning and effective learning and impactful learning can have on somebody. And so I kind of try to bring that to this as well, particularly when it comes to technology, because that's what I'm teaching now. I'm essentially teaching technology, which is tough, which is, you know, challenging. So I try to make it, you know, approachable, usable, yeah, and understandable. I try. Indeed, he's so simple to understand. It's incredible. Thank you. I appreciate that. Quantum Life Upgrade. I love the transitions in iMovie. Yeah, there's lots there. Honestly, I think I use like 2. I use cross dissolve. Actually, no, that's true. Not true. I use at least 4. The ones I use most. Okay, iMovie transitions. I use the most. Number 1, cross dissolve. Number 2, I think it's called fade to black or dip to black. I can't remember. And the fade to white. I use those for transitions. Kind of cool. And number 4 is push. The push transition. That's one of my favorite. And I don't do anything beyond that. No wipes, no circle wipes, please. None of that stuff. I mean, you can do what you want. Get creative, but that's what I do. That's what I use. That's what I use mostly. Stephen, I have the same obsession for hand tools and power tools. Why can people know that I like them and give me more? I must be strong and say no to any more tools until I see one I don't have. Well, yeah, I know. It's the things. Oh, you talking about the microphones? Yeah. I got a thing about microphones. I got an issue. When I started in broadcasting school, I really, well, even before then, I really was interested in audio. Even as a little kid, 7-year-old, I was running around with my little tape recorder, reel to reel. It wasn't really that little. It was my grandmother's old dictation recorder with a little microphone. And I run around in the neighborhood and try to coerce people to make radio dramas. It was crazy. And I had like a little record player, portable one. And this is, yeah. I would plug in with a long extension cord, and I have a vinyl record that I would use as a backing track. And I'd play that out of a little speaker. Imagine a Fisher-Price little, yeah. And then I'd have the reel-to-reel tape machine, and I'd be passing it between me and the other people, and I'd be recording, put it over the record player speaker back. But hey, I loved it. I was so passionate about audio storytelling in particular. And so that sort of kept going through, high school. I was one of the announcers in the school. We had a school sort of radio station, I guess you would call it, in the mornings. So I was doing that. I was doing morning announcements. That was crazy. I was doing full up audio productions for the morning announcements at school, in middle school and high school. It was so funny because the assistants and stuff would see me coming with my tape recorder. And they're like, oh boy, here we go. What's he going to do this morning? And they were quite elaborate. But people started to like them. And when I remember I stopped doing it for a while, and they were like, where's those morning announcements Mike does? Those were so great. Teachers were asking. So I came back. Anyway, I've had a love for audio. That's what that long story is about. So yes, I have a little issue around microphones. And so don't be surprised in the next few live streams if you see this change. I'm going to start swapping through all of my microphones for each live stream. Just because. Why not? Why not? Hey, Geopertus. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. What are you thinking these days about the concerns you expressed previously about the impact of AI tools on tutorials and how they will affect educational creators like you? Well, I kind of said it in my piece, and I think, overall, this is kind of like, it's funny. It's people who celebrate technology, use technology, promote technology, teach technology, getting put out of work by technology. So, like so many people in the past, those horse and buggy drivers, we gotta pivot. We got to figure out, okay, so how do we fit in this new world? And I think one way is to make things more personable, right? Because AI isn't quite there yet. But I think when it comes to instruction, tutorials, particularly with tech, is bringing more humanity, more personality, humor even, to the teaching. Because I think that's kind of how you got to do it until, they can make a version of me. I'm sure they could do this and recreate me. Then I'll have to figure something else out. But that's where I think things are going. I think a lot of creators just have to pivot in the way they deliver their content, and also kind of look more at the content strategy rather than just teaching the manual. Actually, like I do, teach hacks, create things, creativity. Have to inject a lot of creativity into their content strategy, I think, these days, if you're going to be doing educational stuff. That's what I think. I'm watching you and editing my next YouTube video. I'm wondering if I could get 4 vids on one screen. Do I split screen to export it and then re-import and then split screen that? One thing you could try to do, actually, you could try to do that in Keynote. because you could do it in iMovie, but it would take probably, because even if you did split screen, you want to have four windows in one screen. Even if you did split screen, you're split in half. So you're going to lose the top half or bottom half if you go into quarters, right? So yeah. One thing you could do, though, it would take several passes. One way to do it is to use picture-in-picture. So here's a way to do it. So create like a frame that has the quarters in it, and just like maybe has a border in between. So you have a frame and it has the 4 quadrants that has a thin border so you can see things. And what you could do is, yeah, this is what you do. Use that as a guide to, so yeah, okay, so this will be several steps. See, this is the problem though. You may want to take all these steps. That's why I think Keynote's probably easier, because in Keynote, you can bring 4 videos in on a slide, and then you could put a sort of an overlay on top of them, and you can resize them and then export that as a video. So that's like easy steps. Where in iMovie, it would take more steps, and you would have to export several times each time, because you could do it with picture-in-picture, but you would have to, for every quadrant, export, bring it back in, put the next quadrant, export, bring it back in, put the next quadrant, export, put it back in, put the next quadrant, and so on. So I would try that in Keynote. That's what I would try. Don't count yourself out yet. No, no, I'm still here. I'm still here. No, it's just, I think it's, as I said in my stream about this a few weeks ago, I think this is a wake-up call, that a lot of, I think, creators kind of needed in the educational space, to innovate, right? To innovate and try and to it's shaking things up. And so as a creator, it's always, you need to grow, and sometimes you're forced to. The issue is forced upon you. So I don't see it as a bad thing. At first, I was kind of shaken when I first saw Google Gemini do its thing. And I thought, oh my gosh. But then I started to think, okay, so now where do I go? Okay. Hey, Mike, you're resourceful. Look at your channel. It's no problem. Just find another angle. Just, and it helps you grow as a creator. Yes, that. What about the voice? Can bots get that down pat? Yeah, that's pretty damn close. It's pretty damn close. I mean, it's close enough. It's close enough. Yeah, I think actually video, I think you're going to see more people going back to video, because video is harder to to imitate the human motion, right? And our eyes are so used to humans and how we move and our expressions and our body language and all those cues that we give off to each other to help us communicate. And that's very much visual, as well as intonation in your voice. But with voice, it's just voice, right? So there's less to have to copy. So I think video is going to become, especially live video like I'm doing right now, is going to become more and more important to a lot of communicators, not just creators, but communicators, in order to, compete against the manufactured stuff. Thanks. Okay, I hope there's an idea. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. I'm going to try it after the stream. I'm going to try that after the stream. Please don't forget to give Mike a big fat thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Stephen. He's giving us this Friday night for us. Giving up his Friday night. That's okay. I wanted to be here. Like I said, I wanted to keep the streak going. I wanted to come say hello. All right, let's get back to the stuff, because there's still a couple things left. So show and tell videos, you got that, right? It's live action, continuity editing, excuse me, cutting on action, all that kind of stuff that I am going to be showing you how to do in iMovie in the future. Video podcasts. It's the rage. It's all the rage now. What's a video podcast? Well, it's basically video of you talking or making a podcast. And I did one, well, yes, I did one in well, I'm not going to say defunct. I'm going to say on the back burner project because I get a lot of ideas for a lot of projects and, they don't go anywhere immediately, but doesn't mean they can go somewhere later. But I do have an example of editing a video podcast in iMovie. And there's a couple ways you can do it. And I will show you. Let me go over to this and let me switch over. Okay. Excuse me as I take a sip of water. Over. Here we are in iMovie. And that is lovely Shelly, Nathan, from Shelly Saves the Day. Great creator. If you don't know her, go check out her channel. Subscribe to her channel. She's an inspiration to me. And she's just a great creator. She's great. And she gave up her time to do this interview with me. But what I want to show you is this interview I did. You see, we have two tracks down here. Just play a little bit of it. Hit it. So, Shelly, repurposing. You are, dare I say, an expert at repurposing. I mean, you have a company.
I mean, you said it, not me.
Okay, I'll say it. You have a company called Content Minis, and that's your game. So tell me about what your company does.
So Content Minis is a company that I started this it'll be a year coming on in this next year here in the spring, which is just crazy to think about. But it basically will take live streams or long videos that creators have, and then we'll chop it up into small digestible Flintstone vitamin bites.
So anyway, I just want to show you this. Let me go bring this down a bit. Because basically what I did here, you can see all the edits. Ooh, boy. So this is all in iMovie. And this is like an hour long. This is an hour long, this project. So yes, iMovie can do long projects, if you're wondering. So basically what I did here, I recorded this in Ecamm Live, which I'm using right now, which allows you to record separate video tracks. And I just brought it into iMovie and I made split screens. I used the split screen function. So I'll show you. So, and this title is stock title from iMovie. Works. I like it. And so here's our split screen. And if I go up and select this, you can see at the top here, it's a split screen. So I just went through the interview, chopped out, the bad parts and the spaces and everything like that. But then I just switched, kind of like live switching, but it was editing between the two shot game. So tell me. And then I had the single shot.
A year coming on in this next.
Had some B-roll, some visuals, and back and forth. And so that's all I did for the hour podcast episode. So yeah, you can do that in iMovie, no problem. Oops. Where did it go? Here we go. So yeah, I just went through and showed examples of things when she was talking about stuff, and I'd found, I do screen captures and stuff with QuickTime Player, and just drop it in iMovie, and just proceeded through. Yeah, so you can see. Look at all this. Look at all this switching here.
So unless all of a sudden, let's say we do a lot of iMovie and Keynote and whatever tutorials. If one day we did a live stream about Lord of the Rings trilogy and Harry Potter, maybe not as much. Yeah. Maybe that would.
What happened there? I think I have a frame. Yep, I got a pop frame there. I'm gonna fix that right now because it's bugging me. Oh, see that? I can see we have a we have a little space. We have a space. That's the problem with overlay tracks, they don't have that magnetic timeline magic if you edit them.
Hotter?
There
Maybe
we
not
go.
as much.
Here's Mike live editing his demo videos for you. Anyway, not to get off track because my ADHD, I'll start editing this whole thing and adding stuff. You can do video podcast editing in iMovie just using the split screen. Now, another example. Now, this is using eCam recording. You do the same kind of thing if you're using something like Riverside, where you have you can get 2 different tracks for each person. But let's say you did an interview in, let's say you actually, let me go back to here. Let's say you did an interview in Zoom. You didn't have separate tracks. You had like the typical sort of 2-up situation. Let me show you an example of that. So I'll switch over here to here. So here we are. This is me, and that's my dog, Barry Barrington. A lovely rescue. But here's an example of a Zoom interview, right? So you have the 2-up display here that you can get. And so what you can do with this is you can do a similar kind of thing, but so we have me in the 2, this is the regular Zoom wide shot, but then I'm cutting to singles. I'm cutting to single shots. There's a single of Barry. Cut to a single of me reacting because, he's very persuasive. And then we go to a 2-shot. So for this is the Zoom recording, the side by side. Here, what I did was and I'll open it up so you can see, up in the crop settings, I just did crop to fill on this left window for this. Likewise, on my close-up, I just crop to fill on my side. That's how you can do single shots. And then this last part was a split screen. A split screen with, so I've got split screen plus crop to fill. So those combined. And that's how you can sort of chop up a Zoom interview and make it kind of interesting visually. Now, you lose some quality with the crop to zoom in and stuff, but when it comes to a video podcast, audio is what's most important, right? So there you have it. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, you can do video podcast editing in iMovie. And you can even export audio from iMovie. You can export MP3 audio out of iMovie. So if you have a video podcast that you did and you want to just strip out the audio and post it as a podcast somewhere, you can export just the audio of your video in iMovie and just make it a MP3. So got all those possibilities. All those possibilities. So that is video podcasts. Video podcasts. It's like all the stuff you can make. It's crazy. It's all crazy. And it's all doable with these tools. That's what's so fun. All right, to the chat. To the chat. Done. Can you tell me the difference between fake green screen and a real green screen in iMovie? Fake green screen? Real green screen? I think when you're talking about fake green screen, are you referring to like background removal, which is kind of an AI thing that I think Final Cut Pro can just do now, which DaVinci Resolve can do, I think Premiere Pro can do, even Keynote can do background removal. That doesn't require a green screen. Because iMovie does require green screen. It doesn't have an AI background removal. And I have a video about Keynote background removal that shows you how to remove backgrounds in Keynote. It's kind of, it all depends on the background. My advice there is if you have a solid background that's kind of plain, it'll probably be an easier separation than if you have a really busy background. But no, iMovie doesn't have AI. It's just green screen. I think that's what you refer to when you say fake green screen? I think. Let me know. I have a Nikon D5100 SLR with flip screen. I might connect it up to the laptop and make something off the back of this video. Inspiration. Yay. Then going to your tutorials for much needed help. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Have fun, create, experiment. That's what I do. How do you think I come up with all these things? I just experiment. I play around. I ask, excuse me, I bring in my own experience of, hey, what would I like to create? What would look good here from a sort of a professional creator point of view? And how can I create that now? And that's all I do. That's all I do. Wow. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, it doesn't have AI. It just has a green screen. But Keynote has AI background removal, but you can't do it with video. It's just for stills. I wish it was for video. But you think if they put that in Keynote, they would put that in iMovie first. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Only got a few more. So we did video podcasts. And next, faceless videos. So when we talk about faceless videos, obviously you don't have a face, but usually typical faceless videos have graphics or titles or animations with a voiceover. Easy peasy. Easy peasy in iMovie. So for example, in iMovie, if I just go back over to my screen. So over here in iMovie, you have all these titles here. Redraw. And you have all these titles that you can work with. You can customize them to a certain extent, some more than others, but there's a lot of variety there. You can customize color, font size, and they come with built-in animations, which is good and bad, depending on what you're doing. But you marry these with the backgrounds, like organic. You can have titles on that. And so you can make faceless videos, like quotation videos, for example, are very popular, where you have quotes. Totally easy. Take a background like this, put some text on it, do a voiceover. You're done. Export, you're done. So just in iMovie alone, you can do those kinds of title-based videos. If you want to get more advanced stuff in terms of animation and stuff like that, you got something like Keynote, which has a whole animation engine built into it. Here, for example, is I guess you call this an explainer video of I'm explaining why QuickTime Player, the left side only QuickTime recording problem, if you've ever experienced that. But this is just an explainer video. I created all of this in Apple Keynote. That's because USB interfaces like the Scarlett Solo split the incoming audio signal. Typically, the XLR or microphone input goes to channel 1, the left channel in a stereo pair, and the instrument input goes to channel 2, the right channel. So your microphone signal sits on the left channel, and that's how QuickTime Player records it. To remedy this microphone on the left side only issue, we need to switch the microphone input track from stereo, left side only, to mono, which will place your microphone sound on both the left and right channels, so it comes out of both left and right speakers. Unfortunately, you can't do that in QuickTime Player. You can't switch the microphone track input from stereo to mono, like you can in other audio software. QuickTime Player... All right, enough of that. QuickTime Player, you can't do that. Anyway, the point of this video is to show you that I created all that in Keynote, that whole animation, everything. The lines lighting up, the little speaker sound waves, and I also put my voiceover in Keynote, and I actually animated to my voiceover. So that's an example of a faceless video. explainer video, easy to do with something like Keynote if you want to get more advanced with animation. So between Keynote and iMovie, faceless videos, real simple. And also in iMovie, if you go and you use the Ken Burns and you use still images, there you go, easy. You can do like historical documentary type stuff just using Ken Burns animations on photos with a voiceover, and now you have a History Channel piece. I mean, it's simple. it's easy. It's very powerful. So yeah, faceless videos, no problem. No problem. You can use images, you can use graphics, you can use, like I said, just text in iMovie on a nice background, and just add a voiceover. And if you really want to be spicy, you can add an AI voiceover. You can just, get one of those if you don't like your voice or you don't want to talk. You can just get an AI voice, record, and then bring that in as a voiceover and animate or edit to it in iMovie. So faceless videos, easy. You can make that. No problem. No problem. Oh, hey, Dave's Vintage Apple. Good to see you. It's been a while. It has been a while. Thanks for being here on a Friday afternoon. Good to see you. Good to see you. Wow, great help and advice. Cool. Yeah, there's lots you can do. I mean, I'm excited, as you can tell, because I think, excuse me, of all the creative possibilities as I'm going through it myself. Going, oh, wow, look at the stuff you can create. Wow, this is crazy. I can do all. I'm reliving it all. So yeah, it's fun. I am editing a longevity-themed grocery haul that is a faceless video. Any creative ideas to help me make it more exciting? Well, I think you can, I think using like title cards can help spice that up, just to break it up a bit, give us some varieties. So, use a background if you're using an iMovie. Like I said, you can create a background and you can just, let me go back, just show you real quick. So, you can take a background, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be actually probably better if you just use something that's more subdued or whatever. And then you can just like make chapter cards. So, let me just go here. So you can just go here and just grab a title. One of these, whatever. I'll just grab, let me do this one. Grab focus. And let's go. There we go. All right. So we've got our title here, and we go in, and you can go, you can have, I don't know, I'm just going to put like, you're shopping, right? So you can do something like this, and you can have a title card come up for every section. So it's like, oh, long lines. And then you can cut to a segment of your video where, you're waiting in line to pay for your haul or something like that. Anyway, that's a terrible example, but I just want to show you that you can create like chapter cards to sort of separate the topics of your haul, right? So however you have it organized, you can do something like that. So hope that gives you some idea. That's a way to break it up, an easy way to do that. That's great info. Thank you, Dave. Yes, it has. Yes, it has been. Yes, it has been a while. The rude boy sound. Thanks, Mike. You have opened up a new world for me. Thank you. Oh, great. I'm glad. Yeah, the thing about it too, these tools, the key thing about them is that they're easy to use. So the learning curve is not steep. So you're more likely to use it. And then when you start to see creatively what you can do, it becomes exciting because I can do that, right? I can create that. I can do stuff. And my suggestion to you would be to watch videos that inspire you, or videos that are in your niche, other creators in your niche, or videos you just like, and see if you can recreate the things you like about them using iMovie, Keynote, and QuickTime Player. That's what I do. That's how you learn to use a tool. And these tools are so approachable and easy and streamlined. It's easier just to get started making things. Thank you for the chapter card idea. I will do it. Excellent. Yeah, that's just a quick thing. You know, you can do other things too. You can add like clip filters for certain things. You know, like I'm gonna go back. I'm doing a I'm doing a live iMovie creative sesh here. So for example, let's say take Barry here. Let's say, you know, part of the hall, you were looking for something in particular, but you couldn't find it, and you were sad. So what you could do is use the clip filters up here in iMovie, because I have all these clip filters. And now you can do stuff. So, you know, it was old. You know, this was an old thing. A noir, comic, hard light, the hard reality, blockbuster, action, right? So you can, whatever, you can do romantic. And then I saw what I desired across the aisle. So anyway, you can get creative with this, you know, dreamy, flashback. So yeah, you can have fun. So blue, you know, I'm sad. It was sad. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. Anyway, you can use these filters to, you know, spice things up, indicate a mood, help tell your story, that kind of thing. I'm having far too much fun today. All right, let's get back to the content at hand, because we only got a couple more. Documentary. Yes, documentary. What, Mike? Documentary. Yes. So, you know, you like true crime documentaries, you like any other kind of documentary. I made a documentary, several, using iMovie. And I'll show you an example of it. Yeah, because again, a documentary is essentially, you know, it's basic elements. It's depending on the type of documentary, it's a voiceover, a narrator maybe, or it's just interview driven. So it's just interviews. So those are just clips of people, or a combination of both. And so I'm going to show you a quick, here we are. I'm just going to show you a quick documentary style piece. I don't want to show you too much because I really don't have a lot of permission to use this, but I want to show you as an example, just to show what is possible in terms of a documentary style. So this is a piece I did, a project I did for a dance school. And I recorded videos, I recorded B-roll of the dancers, did all kinds of stuff. So I'll just play a little taste for you, just a little bit, so you can see. Got music, all kinds of stuff. And let's play.
Being at OSB has prepared me for life because it's given me structure and it's given me a crazy timetable, which means I had to balance school and dance and overall life, meaning that my time management skills have been great.
So anyway, it just gives you a sense of, you know, it's B-roll, it's interviews, you know, combined with other things. That's basically documentary, right? And so iMovie is totally fine for that. It's more than enough. And, you know, you can get into things like, as I mentioned before, you can get into things like doing Ken Burns on photos, right? You know, that's Ken Burns, is named after Ken Burns, who did those great documentaries. The first one about the Civil War, which was all still imagery, because of course they didn't, you know, they didn't have video back then. But it was all, you know, moves on photos. and back then when he did it, he was using a computer controlled camera, physical camera to do those moves. Now we have, we do it digitally, built into iMovie, no problem. So you can do that, documentaries, and you can, again, B-roll, cutaways, interviews. That's just basic editing stuff. You can do title cards, and Ken Burns on photos. I mean, that really covers a lot of what the elements in a documentary. So, yeah, no problem in iMovie, actually. So that's documentary. And while I'm here, I'm just going to shoot to the final one. And this is kind of similar to documentary, and that's vlogs, right? It's a similar kind of thing, but it's more you talking to camera. You're traveling around. It's mostly live action. And then you're recording B-roll or cutaways, additional materials, and you're editing that together. And that's really just cutting, just editing. And iMovie, again, great little editor. Very simple, but very powerful. And then anything you want to add on top, you can add titles, you can add music, you can add sound effects, you can do all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, that's all possible. So those are the 10 types of YouTube videos that you can create using iMovie, Keynote, QuickTime Player, and a little bit of OBS, because I think it's just more powerful to use that for certain things. But yeah, so when people ask, can I make YouTube videos with iMovie? Yes. Yes, you can. You can. And I think some people, on my channel, I get into the weeds a lot of times with a lot of tutorials now, do certain specific things. And sometimes you got to step back because it can be overwhelming, right? You're trying to figure out, okay, do this little thing. Let's step back and actually look at the broader context of video creation for YouTube. And can these tools do it? Yes, they can do it, right? It's up to your creativity. Beyond that, it's your creativity and your ingenuity and your passion and energy to get it done. But we have the tools here. Sure. Yes. But it's not Final Cut Pro. It's not DaVinci Resolve. Yes, I know. Those are pro tools. And for me, I expect pro tools to be able to do everything. I don't have a question. And I get upset when I'm using pro tools and they don't do the things I want them to do. I get mad because it's like, you're pro. You're supposed to be able to do this stuff. So yes, they should do everything. And yes, they do a lot of things easier, right? But at the same time, they have steeper learning curves. If you watched my Final Cut Pro video last week, you'll understand that comparison of iMovie and Final Cut Pro. Excuse me. Learning curve. Can you get over it? If you can't, you're not going to use the tool to its utmost. And now you're left there not being able to make stuff. So it's really important. I emphasize this. The most important thing is knowing what you want to create and having a strong plan and vision for what it is you're trying to make. And then you work backwards to try and figure out what you need to make it. A lot of people, they say, I just want to make videos. And then they buy all the expensive stuff, all the high-end stuff, because they saw, this YouTube creator uses this camera or this software. But they never made anything. They never sat down and said, okay, here's the thing I want to make. Here's my message, right? They never sat down and nailed that down. And then how do I express this? How do I render this through video? A lot of people just get all the stuff and then they're overwhelmed and they never actually make anything. Much better to start with stuff that's easy to use because you're more likely to actually use it. And then if you need to, you can graduate to the higher end stuff if you need to. But for YouTube, I mean, if you're doing a Netflix series or, some high end stuff, I can understand you want to be using Pro Tools or stuff for broadcast, but for YouTube, I mean, YouTube crushes your video anyway when you upload it. I mean, it takes it apart, it crushes it, compresses it. So all that time you spend on all pristine stuff, they're just throwing it away because they have to. They only got so many servers. we got to compress this stuff. So they're throwing away a lot of that stuff that a lot of people are obsessing over. But what's important, what doesn't get thrown away, is the message, right? It's the message, it's the delivery, all that stuff that's really important. Anyway, that's my sermon. My sermon. Get off your soapbox, Mike. Do it all the time. Oh, this is a good question. Stephen, observant. What was the red in the last clip of the dancer's background filler? Not sure why it was there. So it all fit together in the timeline? It might be a daft question with a simple answer. No, that is a placeholder. So that's the great thing about iMovie and iMovie backgrounds. A lot of times I use backgrounds when I don't have the footage yet. And that's what that is. That's a placeholder to say, you need that B-roll. So when I edit, so what I did was, in that case, is I had the interviews first, right? So I go through the interviews and find the story in the interviews and edit the story in the interviews. And then, okay, I need to show this, and I need to show this here and show this there. And I'll just put a placeholder background to know that, oh, I got to get footage for that spot. So you can use them as placeholders, and you can color code them for different types of stuff you need. Like you could have like, okay, I need live action stuff here, or I need a graphic, can be a different color background, what have you. So yeah, it's a system to edit so that later on I know to fill in those spots. You can also use backgrounds in iMovie for timing as filler clips to help with your editing, with your edit timing. Because in the magnetic timeline, let me go over as I'm talking about this so I can explain it. Excuse me. Yeah, let me just show you. Go back over. So yeah, these red clips are, I need footage here. Because you can see each red clip has B-roll on top of it. So once I got the B-roll, I put it on top. I could have taken this out and put it down if I wanted to, but I've got this track, I might as well use it. So that's what I use backgrounds for. But backgrounds can also be used for timing, because Final Cut Pro has gap clips to use for timing. Why do you need a gap clip, Mike? Let me go find a better example. Well, I can use it here. So let's say, for example, here, I had timing and I had this starting, but I didn't want it to start right away. I wanted a space. I wanted to put a space between this next clip and this clip starting. You can't do spaces in the magnetic timeline. Everything you can see locks together. You can't. If you try to make a space, it just moves, right? So that's what you can use backgrounds for, is to make gaps, right? And that's what a use of the backgrounds is. I'm not doing a very clear explanation because this is not a great example, but you can use backgrounds to create gaps for timing. And that's another use for backgrounds. Yeah, so I can use them for denoting certain elements in the timeline as well as for fixing timing. So yes, no, that's not a daft observation, Stephen. Very good. Very good. Gold star. Oh, boy. Thank you, Michael. Because of these live streams, you have given me the courage to make iMovies. You make my heart happy. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. You know, you've probably heard of this whole thing. You've probably seen this whole movement of Gen Xers on YouTube, over 40 on YouTube. And I'm well over 40, over 50, almost 60. And I've been on YouTube for almost 10 years. And a lot of it, you're seeing a lot of it now because people are getting the courage. One thing is, a lot of people in my generation have realized that they've lived a life and they want to share what they've learned. And they want to put their voice out there, not only to share, but for legacy and other reasons. but maybe the technology held them back. Or maybe they just didn't really see the use for it. Or who would watch this? Or where would I put it? So now we have YouTube, we have life experience, and now we have the tools, iMovie, Keynote, QuickTime Player, that are very accessible for you to tell your stories. And so that's why it warms me when I hear you say that you now have the courage to make iMovies. Yes, get your voice out there, share your vision, share your ideas, tell your stories, right? A lot of people think it's not worth it. Well, who wants to hear from, me and what I... Listen, a lot of times when I talk to people who want to do YouTube, but they're like, I don't know, it's not, who cares? Like, why won't anyone care about me? YouTube is not TV. YouTube is not film. YouTube is not Netflix. YouTube is a video sharing platform. And I think a lot of people get too caught up in the culture of YouTube, a YouTuber, and all that other drama that goes along with it. And they don't see it for what it is. And that's a video sharing platform that gives you the ability not to only share your stories and your ideas and your voice with potentially millions of people around the world, but also build a community off of that. So it's kind of like, think more locally. And at the end of the day, all we're really doing here, all I'm doing right now, all my tutorials are doing right now, everything that I showed you that I made during the course of the stream, all that is creating an experience for a moment, for a few minutes, for maybe an hour, for a half hour, 2 hours. It's creating experiences. And that's what we're doing at the core. So when you think of it that way, hey, let me create a interesting, somewhat compelling experience. It doesn't have to be world shattering. It doesn't have to change the world. It can just be an interesting little story. It can be a fun little fact, something you didn't know, whatever. But at the end of the day, we're just creating little moments, a series of moments that maybe help someone, maybe entertain someone, maybe comfort somebody. Who knows? You don't know. You're just putting it out there into the world and hoping that it's doing good. And that's it. That's all we're doing. That's it. We get caught up in it's YouTube and being the famous and the YouTuber and how many subscribers and all that stuff. No, that's over there. At the core, you're creating an experience. And these tools are there to help you create an experience. And I hope that I'm helping you to create experiences based on your own experiences and life and thoughts and ideas to share with others. Because that's all we're doing. We're sharing our experiences. We're sharing ideas. We're sharing all that stuff. That's it. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. So, Gio Purtis, do you have any ideas, tips, or suggestions about how AI tools like Google Gemini can be used to plan and create videos? You can obviously use it as listen, I'm not anti-AI. I use AI for research purposes and sometimes as a writing partner to help me, I don't put out what they find. I edit what they do, but they're kind of a cool writing partner. Sometimes it's just, but I use it for research. And so Gemini, you could use for research if you're doing a tutorial on something and you want to figure out how to do it, right? You could get Gemini to show you, and then you can incorporate that info into your own teaching, right? Making it your own, of course. So there's a way you can use AI, but that's what I use it for. It's mostly for research. Thanks, Mike. I was worried I might have gotten in trouble for not paying attention. No, Stephen, you're at the top of the class. You're a good student, enthusiastic. You're punctual. You show up on time. You're observant. You participate. You're great. You're great. I use Video Bolt along with iMovie. What's Video Bolt, Dave? Let me know. What is that? I'm so pleased that I asked. I'm pleased you asked too, because it became a teaching moment for everyone. Depends You Sing is back. Hey, how are you? Sorry, brother, I was busy last few days. No worries, you're here now. Listen, don't apologize. I'm here. My videos are here. That's the beauty of on demand. I'm here 24/7. So if you can't be here live, you can catch me in the replay, brother. I'm always here. Yeah, it's 1:40 a.m. here, so sometimes I miss. Oh, for goodness, yeah. Well, thanks for staying up and being here. I appreciate it. It's always tough to find the right time frame that kind of covers the most of the world. It's tricky. I have to look into that more. I wish my teachers back in the day were half as good as you, Mike. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, listen, I appreciate, I'm humbled by people, referring to me as a teacher. I am. But I don't consider myself a teacher. I consider myself the old, guide on the side. It's just like somebody who's a couple or a few steps ahead of you in the learning. And I'm kind of taking stuff and I'm turning back to you and saying, here's what I found out. Hopefully you can use it. That's how I see myself. I'm you a few steps ahead. That's it. That's it, really. We are all just walking each other home. Yeah. A lot of people, they're online, they come to YouTube, or they go to Twitch for live streaming or YouTube streams, and they're there just for company. Just for company, just for something. A lot of people put stuff, I know they tell me, they put me on in the background when I do these streams. And these are my friends too. They put me on in the background just for company, to fill the space. And you know what? That's still an experience, and that's still a valid experience. So if I can comfort somebody, fill the space for them, comfort them, make them feel not alone, then that is enough for me. That is enough, right? It's creating an experience, right? Sure. We all want to teach, and, I do my tutorials, and I hope people get the material and they use it and they use the information. But I get comments on videos for people who are not even iMovie users. They say, I don't use any of the software that you do tutorials, but I just like listening to you talk about stuff and listen to you teach stuff. I don't know. It's just kind of cool and comforting. It's like, hey, I'll take it. That still has value. Thanks, Mike. You do help. 40-something new YouTuber. And you did help me understand some iMovie tricks. Good, great. Yeah, I'm glad. My precious garden, 40. Yep, 40. I remember 40. 40 as my first child was a couple years old. Anyway, appreciate it. Here in France, it's 9:10. Yes, you're like 5 hours ahead. What time is it? I don't even know. After 3? Boy, oh boy, I've been yakking. I tend to go on. Actually, we're in the Q&A part of this. I've gone through all of 10 YouTube videos, so just to let you know, there's no more learning content as it pertains to the topic of this stream. Now we're doing Q&A and chatting. So if you have any other questions about video creation, let me know. That's what we're doing. Very nice. Thanks again. You're an amazing teacher. Hope to see you soon. Take care from Toronto. Hey, Toronto. We are in the same city, my friend. We are. Thanks for being here, John P. Appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, too. Dave Vintage, yes. What is video? It's a website that has all kinds of customizable templates you can use in your video creations. Oh, that's cool. iMovie back in the day, in the aughts, before it changed into what it is now, used to have templates and you could have plugins and all kinds of stuff. It was really fun. It was really cool. But then they just locked that all down. But here we are. We make do what we have. We make do what we have. Keynote is the saving grace in that case. Templates, yes. Brother, where are your socials, like Instagram? Oh, I don't know. I guess, are they on my page? I don't know. I don't use a lot of the socials. I do have an Instagram account. I do have a Twitter/X account. I have the socials. I just don't, I don't know. Maybe I don't post. I'm just not active a lot on there. I'm just sort of busy making videos and stuff. But I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So nice. So nice. People showing up here on a Friday afternoon. Thank you, Mike. Great live again. Bye from the UK. Deb, thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening from the UK. And yeah, good times. Good times. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up because, I don't want this to turn into a 4-hour stream. Because I'm going to have to edit this later. And when people come to my page and they see, oh, they're live replay, 3 hours. I'm not watching no 3 hours. That's the beauty of having chapters. But I'm not, yeah, I guess I could chapter this fairly easily. But yes, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. And just so you know, it's always fun knowing a person more you admire. Oh, I get it. Thank you, DePanchu. I get it. I get it. Thank you, Stephen, for being here. Always great to have you here. And thank you very much for your class participation there. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here on the stream on a Friday afternoon, and I appreciate it. And, I'm making this a weekly thing, I'm trying to keep the streak going, keeping the lives going, and look out for more videos coming your way. And enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.